Why y'all didn't tell me I was muted? And now I'm yelling. Sorry. I was talking for so long. I gave you a whole explanation about why I'm not on camera and everything. Let me know if you can hear me all right though. Just tell me, put a one in the chat if you can hear me. I guess well, if you can't hear me, there's no point in me telling you what to put in the chat. But hey, y'all, it is me, Vitamin Key. As I explained prior to unmuting myself, I just couldn't get it together today. I knew that, you know how you be getting ready, or you got to get ready. Hey, Deanne, you got to get ready to do something, and it's getting closer and closer. You're like, I'm about to get up. I'm about to get up. And about 4:15, I just was like, yeah, this isn't happening. They just gonna have to get this voice today, and that's okay. But hi everybody. It is me, Vitamin Key, back with you for another Woman Chat Wednesday. I am going to go ahead and do the intro, and then we will get started. All right, so how are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. It's the weeks are going so fast. I feel like I was just up here doing Woman Chat Wednesday. It was like I did every time I do it, it's like, yes, I did it for the week. And then I'm feeling like, okay, I'm kind of free for the rest of the week. And then I turn around and it's Wednesday again. And it's not anything to do with you guys. Like, I don't mind. I love hanging out with you guys. But it's just that, having something to do, having something on your list. Hey, Antipodes, I am so glad to have you here. Um, so yes, this is Level Up Single Mom. For those of you who've never been here before, Level Up Single Mom is a platform where we discuss different issues from the lens of the experience of the Black single mother and just the nuance of how that particular lens can affect even everyday things like your finances, like your self-esteem, and like your personal style. So we have three different focus areas, those being Birth Your Bag, where we focus on the finances. And we had a great live that was focused on that. It was about 2 weeks ago, I think, with AJM. We know her from Themis and Thoth. And that was just like, that was my longest live, I think. And that was an amazing live. It was so much information and just so inspiring. You really should check that out. Then there's Refine Your Shine. Refine Your Shine is about your personal appearance. So it can be anything from fitness to makeup, to just how you're dressing, your personal style and everything like that. We had a couple of lives that were focused on that area. One was with Tiff, and that was really cool. I love that. And then I did Birth Your Bag, Refine Your Shine, and then Build Your Boundaries. And so Build Your Boundaries is more so about, your self-esteem and really kind of taking that time to, like I like to say, explore your mind, figure out why you're making some of the decisions you're making, and if that's actually what's best for your life goals and things like that. So I guess you could consider like the general conversation as falling underneath build your boundaries. And I feel like Build Your Boundaries is actually the foundation of Level Up Single Mom, because if you don't have proper boundaries, if your self-esteem is off, then everything else is going to be skewed as well. You're not going to be dressing for your pleasure or, expression of your authentic self. You're going to be dressing to attract, what I mean, and just outwardly focused, trying to get validation from other people. So I feel like Build Your Boundaries is like the cornerstone of the Level Up Single Mom platform. And so therefore most things will be skewed towards that in some way, shape, or form. So anyway, first things first, I have a couple of different things I wanted to share with you guys. Initially I'll do some nothing nothing bad, but just a little current events or whatever, right? So, also we're going to get into some, I guess, is it heavy? I don't even know if it's heavy anymore because it's just so run of the mill. Like, we're always talking about it in some way, shape, or form. So you see tonight's um topic is choosing better, because that's always what it boils down to, right? And just this idea that as single mothers we deserve less, and it really kind of burns me up that people tend to assume that we should just accept anything, and not just us. The really scary part is it's not just us they feel like we should just accept anything, it's the children too. It's our children as well. And just that people can say with straight faces that, oh, well, this person should have, let somebody do blah, 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 blah to them and or their child, right? So I I don't know, but I'm getting, please excuse me, I'm getting this clip together. I thought I had everything together, but so just bear with me. You would think because I have less stuff on here. Oh, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna pause that. But anyway, please let me know in the comments, like, how was your week so far? What are you guys making or having for dinner? Because y'all not talking to me enough. Hey, True Mystique. Hey, Panda Dex. Tian. She said it's the children, even their own children. Absolutely. Even their own children. But they don't realize, they can't realize it more and more. Like, it's so weird how, and I'm not a religious person. I will say forever and ever and ever, I am not a religious person. But there are so many biblical references and like passages that come up for me, like they know not what they do. You know what I mean? And I'll just see things going on and I'm like, okay, that's what that means. Like, you may know what the words mean, and in a way you kind of know what these things mean, especially if you grew up in the church or you grew up around the Bible and things like that. But just really being able to point out, oh, that's what they know not what they do means. And that's what cast not ye pearls before swine means, and that's what it means not to be of this world and worldly things. It's just really, really interesting to me to see how that ancient wisdom plays out. But anyway, all right, so I finally got that together. And you gonna work? What are you doing, True Mystique? You gonna be work? Oh, on those shirts for your mom? Just the shirts for your mom? So I'm gonna go ahead and share this tab. So I wanted to share this because Summer Walker, we were talking about Summer Walker last week, and we were talking about how Summer Walker had kind of played herself a little bit because didn't she didn't believe that it could be her. You know what I mean? Like, she got with a man, and at the time she felt like he he was all about her and whatnot, and she felt like she was I don't want to say special, because special is not the word. She felt like she was superior. Superior is the perfect word to the other women that had come before her that happened to have children with him. And I was just talking about how it wasn't even a year later from when she very publicly, spoke about these women in a way similar to what we're going to see later in some other clips that I have. The way women, because you would think it would be men that would mainly be talking like this. And it's women a lot, though, that participate in this or perpetuate this idea that as a single mother, you are somehow lesser and you deserve less than, common decency. You don't deserve your dignity. You know what I mean? Or you have no right to your own dignity. You have no right to advocate for yourself. You have no right to have certain expectations of people when they're dealing with you, when they're talking to you. Hey, Mia. Hey, Sparkle. Shout out to everyone. Anyone who's been here for the first time, welcome. Yeah, so you have no real right to ever to take offense to the ways that people approach you and the things that people present to you. You know what I mean? And so we talked last week. You can check that one out. I was told that I was dragging people. That wasn't really my intention. I was just talking. But it is what it is. But I just so I came across this clip. Summer Walker did a concert in London, and she was crying. You see the way it says she cries uncontrollably. And the thing is, it confused me at first because it said London, and her baby father, well, her first baby father, she is pregnant now with her current boyfriend's child. Oh, good. Well, I'm happy and appreciative anytime and every time you come, and I will do my best to try to make sure that I will recognize you now because we had this interaction, Sparkle. But I will do my best to try to keep track of everybody that's coming in. So yeah, her first baby father's name is London. And so I was confused because I thought they were saying like she was crying over him. So initially that was what I was going to show it for, to just kind of say, it's hard even when you move on. Sometimes it's hard to process all of those things. And especially when you're getting pregnant back to back, it's just a lot of emotions, a lot of hormones. But then I actually watched this clip, and it looks to me like she is actually crying because she's moved by the reception she's getting from her fans and everything. And as you can see, this is well into the performance, but I just thought it was cute and I wanted to share. I'm probably going to mute it, like on and off, because I don't got time for them to be cutting me off. I don't have time for them to be cutting me off, so we shall see. But I'm going to unmute it a little bit. I really appreciate y'all. I'm pregnant. What is happening? All right, did it cut me off? No, it didn't cut me off. It looked like it's just the thing. All right, so I don't know why that's doing that. I'm going to wait until that goes. I may not even go back to it, but I just wanted to see. Like you saw, she was crying. And like I said, I'm sorry, you guys. Computers want to do what they want to do. So, yeah, but I just thought that was cute because she is so much. She was crying, Jenny, because and she was trying to explain it. Let me let this thing play out. It's an ad right now, and then I'll go back to it. But she's crying because she's touched by her fan base, their reception of her. They're being really sweet to her, and she's just moved by that. So that's why she was crying. Is it playing? She does get a lot of hate. And the thing is, and we were talking about it last week. I never got love like this, Legend. I really appreciate y'all. I just need y'all to help me, help me make it correct. I really do appreciate y'all. I'm starting over. All right, I'm stopping there because I don't want to get, I don't want to be chilling and then, hey, Tiff, and then they cut me off like they did for what were we watching? Oh, that's stupid. First of all, that was just I gotta go on a rant right now. That was just a little rinky dink YouTube collaboration thing anyway, and then they will cut me off like they so important. But anyway, she gets so much hate because I think she gets so much hate because she is just not your typical anything, to be honest. Like, she has the presentation of a regular schmegular. Like, I could go outside of my house here in South Philly and just see someone that looks exactly like her, you know what I mean, walking up the street. And being that she's in the position she's in, there is this expectation that she's supposed to look a certain way and she's supposed to give all this kind of mystique and this kind of allure and this kind of thing. But she is, you know, if you kind of look at her, the typical, stereotypical Black girl from the hood. You know what I mean? And the money hasn't changed her in those ways. And I'm not saying this whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying from my observation, the money hasn't changed her in those ways where a lot of people feel like, oh, you get rich and then you have all this money and then all of a sudden it buys you a certain type of class. And I don't want to say she's not classy, but I'm saying like the expectation of what it is to be wealthy. You know what I mean? In some people's mind, being wealthy means that you have to put your pinky up and you have to have these certain highbrow tastes, and you can't enjoy what you enjoyed before if it was considered quote unquote ghetto, or if it had the optics of being quote unquote ghetto. But you have this young lady that is very, very talented and creative, but she seems to still be presenting a lot of those same values and mindsets and whatnot that she had prior to the fame. And again, that's not me making a comment on whether that's good or bad. You know, of course, some of the things aren't so great, and we talked about that last week also. But some of the things is just a part of her being young and coming from where she's coming from and having to kind of figure out what she wants and who she wants to be. Panda Deck says men set the culture and women maintain it. That's why it's a lot of women. Culturally, women are taught to view each other as competition for men. Thank you so much. We will touch on that later, which benefits the men. Absolutely. It said, M Love Black always says, the reason I've seen her get hate is because when she got with London, she down talked his baby mamas and made it seem like he wasn't an absentee father. Absolutely. And that's a big part of why she gets hate as well. I think too, on top of, you know, what I was just saying about the fact that she is still figuring things out, a big part of the reason she gets so much hate is because while she is figuring things out, and, you know, that's okay, she talks a lot, you know, like she talks a lot. And at that particular time, especially, she was talking like she knew, and she was talking like somebody. I want to do a little bit of a game. So I want you, no, because that would be mean. So I was going to say put a bird in the chat if and when you pick up on that same type of energy of just being young but thinking you know it all. But I'm not going to do a bird because I feel like that's going to be mean, right? So how about let's do a let's just do that silly face. You know, the one with the squiggly mouth and the swirly eyes. When you see later on in the thing, if you remember, I just think it would be fun to see how many I see. When you see that type of mentality of somebody that's clearly young and inexperienced, deciding to speak definitively on a subject that they have absolutely no expertise in, absolutely no experience in, as if they know, like they know, like they know. I want to see that kooky face. Okay. I mean, and now if you choose to do the bird, I'll interpret that as the same thing as well. Sparkle just says she peeps it all day. M Love Black always says she definitely talks a lot. I really want the best for her. I do too, because the thing is, now I feel like she's in a place where I just want to hug her, because believe it or not, prior to me having my first child, I also thought that I was sway and I had all the answers. You know what I mean? Because I was in that privileged position of not having made that kind of misstep yet. And I was looking at other people, people in my family, that were doing, having kids, my aunties, my mom, you know what I mean? And I was in that space of like, I don't know why they doing that. And I don't know why they putting up with that, not in friends and stuff. I was in that position until I wasn't. You know what I mean? Until I came across that one, and I spoke about this before, that landmine of implanted rhetoric exploded. And then I was operating off a shout out to Erica De Niro TV. I was operating off what she call it, an operating system or programming that was telling me that, oh, now I am deficient and I have to redeem myself and I have to play by this playbook, and I'm not allowed to want these certain things, and I gotta tread lightly, and I gotta hope that people take pity on me, or you know what I mean? It just put myself in a really, really bad position, and went through a whole bunch of stuff, and then came out of it, and then wrote a book, and all of that. So my heart really goes out to her. She is going through a lot because she's figuring it out, and now she has kids. But to her credit, she seems like she's a very intentional person, and intentions. They say the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions, but sometimes that's all we have. What Tiff says, she wasn't supposed to win. Cardi was exotic. Summer is black. She will still continue to win. She doesn't have to dance hard. It bothers the rest. Yeah, I mean, and even look at like Normani. You know what I mean? Even though Chloe sings circles around everybody, she will always have that advantage of being lighter, and that just is what it is. Oh, hey, Themis. Themis says it's unfortunate that a lot of people cannot empathize with others unless they go through it. I do got it. Yeah, that's just it. It's not, and like I said, you should have said that first, Themis. Talk about, so do not put my comment up. You should have said that first. Like, that's literally the first comment. I'm gonna put this up. Hey everyone, Themis says hi. Hi Summer. So yeah, I just wanted to show like she is adorable to me. I hope she does well, I hope she figures it out and doesn't come through it too bad. And now, let me lift the mood up a little bit. Well, not lift the mood. I don't know if it's a lift per se, but I wanted to go to, there's this other video that someone had posted in the Discord, and it is from Kendra G. And it's this guy talking about what he wants per usual, but he was talking about the part that I wanted to highlight was he was talking about discipline, and he was talking about how he didn't want to be with a single mother because he wouldn't child within his house, and he should be, he should be dominant and blah 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 blah, so forth and so on. And I thought that was interesting because, per usual, I have a story about that. Hold on. I gotta get the thing queued up. Let me see what the comments are saying. Who's it? Nia says, I'm hoping for the best for all the girlies. Me too. Oh, you talk about you saw a grammatical issue theme. Is if you get out my face. I'm hoping for the best for all the girlies too. And like, I can see something to like in all of them. And it's really a shame that there are these systematic barriers for some, and so much leeway for others, and it makes it hard because sometimes, like, everybody makes mistakes, and nobody's perfect, but then sometimes it puts you in a position where you may really like somebody, but because you see them capitalizing, maybe even knowingly, off of these advantages that they have, it can make you kind of not want to give them the benefit of the doubt in other areas. I used to watch Love and Hip Hop. I liked her from Love and Hip Hop. I just felt like she was really spunky and fun, and I liked the way that it was clear that people were like trying to downplay her, and she just let it roll off her back. You know what I mean? And she was always very, very much so authentic. And so once she actually blew up, I was so happy for her, just as a woman and a girl, and just having seen that journey. So it's hard for me sometimes when I see her doing a little questionable stuff, like, oh, Cardi, come on, don't do that. You know? Um, Non-black people are usually human, are actually human, right? Hey, Christina. Hey, B. Um, she said, B, it's fake. It's for attention and a pat on the head, Lord. I can't say you lying. Let me get to this. It's at 2:55. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna get better at this. Okay.
You not did it with kids.
I would say not only the baby mama drama stuff, but the baby daddy drama stuff. But when you kind of, to me, when you take on the responsibility of the kid, you only give.
Hold on, it's taking forever to come.
If I expect to raise it a certain way, if I
I'll put it on the screen.
not only the baby daddy drama stuff, but when you kind of, to me, when you take on the responsibility of the kid, you only give him certain things. Like I can pay for trips, I can pay for food, but if I expect to raise a kid a certain way, I have to be able to maneuver a certain way, give out discipline a certain way. But that would be limited. So if I can give the kid everything he wants, I should be able to react or manage how my expectations to the kid. So basically, if I'm gonna take full responsibility, I should be able to give discipline as I.
I know it's not another. Yes, I am experiencing.
Which would I do not do that?
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate the explanation. All right, this is Ryan in New York, Long Island.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to highlight that, she said, I watched this earlier. I'm sorry, I'm looking here. Thank you so much, Tiff. So the reason I wanted to highlight that particular clip was because I went through something like that, and I went through things concerning that with different men, but the biggest issue I ever had concerning that subject was actually with my child's father at the time. So I was with him and I needed him. We spoke about it before. I did have I have terminated pregnancy before. And at the time, I thought that my oldest daughter's father I considered us friends. And so I asked him to be my ride. He had to be my ride. I had to have a ride. So I asked him to be my ride, and he was driving my car. So he came there with me, and he's just a life of the party type of guy anyway. And he was in there, we was in there with all the women, and he was in there cracking jokes, and everybody was loving it or whatever. But, I'm there for what I'm there for. So I wasn't really in a jovial mood, and I wasn't like being bitchy to him or anything like that, but I just wasn't, I wasn't feeling the best emotionally. So then I go ahead, everything gets done, and I come out. And we're going to go drop him off so I can go about my business. And so now at this point, I'm just barely hanging on by a thread emotionally. You know what I mean? And I'm I'm rethinking my entire life at this point. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, I got to get myself together, and I want to get me a husband, and I want to just settle down, and this is just too much for me. I don't know what's going on. I need stability. That's really where I was coming from with it. And he's like, oh well, if you're going to get married or whatever, he needs to know that he don't have no kind of control over my child, and if something needs to go on, I'm going to be the one coming to the house and disciplining her, and just telling me what this hypothetical man that just does not exist at that point in time can and can't do within his own household. And now, mind you, I'm just like, well, if I have a husband, in my mind, if I have a husband, he's going to be the type of guy that's going to be doing what he needs to do. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be paying bills, and he's not going to be a layabout. So I wouldn't dare put you ahead of him within his own household. You know what I mean? I just was like, if he is the man that he would need to be in order to become my husband, how do you think that you're not even doing what you're supposed to do now? It ain't nobody around. You know what I mean? Like, how do you figure that you're going to take precedence within a household where he's the one paying bills and actually caring for and providing for your child? That just doesn't make sense to me. It didn't seem fair, and I told him so. And don't you know, he was like, by the time we got to where I needed to drop him off at, he had decided that him and his family wasn't going to have anything to do with my child. Again, because of a hypothetical man. I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't doing anything. But he was just so, upset about the idea that I would let another man be in control within my household, because of his child and his rights as a father. But like I said, he really wasn't doing anything for her. Like, I'm not even going to sit here and try to play. Like, he was at that particular time at all. He wasn't doing anything for her. And he just got that mad about it. So it's not weird to me. It's understandable to me that men, especially men that don't have children, have these concerns. And then another guy that I was dating on and off for a few years, me and him went out and we talked about it. He was saying, like, as a man that didn't have any children, and that man pursued me for like 10 years. And he was just like, well, I don't have any kids, but I have been through it where, you get with a woman and she has kids, and the kids hit you with the, well, you're not my dad. But I told him my viewpoints on that. I said, look, at the end of the day, the mother sets the tone for the child. And I would never expect a man to come into my life and, do all of these things for me and allow my kids to disrespect. Like, I wouldn't let my kids disrespect any of my friends. You know what I mean? Any adult that's treating them reasonably. But I think that for me, men get hype over hypothetical situations. Always. But for me, it's just like the concern for me is, why is that the focus? Like, even the guy that was talking to me about it, the one that I was dating, he didn't come at me from an angle of like, oh, I want to have control. He came at me from an angle of like, well, I'm concerned that the expectation will be that I can be disrespected and used. And that's 100% valid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with that. But when it's this idea that, oh, well, you coming in with this hard shell on, oh, well, I'm laying down the law and I'm changing things and I'm doing, and it's just like, why are you so angry? Why are you so hyped? And would you say people think women let their kids run wild? And exactly. And that goes into, the topic of tonight is like, why women deserve less. This stereotype of women, single mothers, especially single mothers that have multiple kids, and especially single mothers that have multiple kids by multiple men. The idea is that we are just these wanton hussies that are going around and just, you know, reveling in debauchery, and we just want to do this and we just want to do that, and we just want to spread our legs every time Dick and Harry, and you know, it's all good fun. And there's never any thought put to, well, where did this, you know, where did this pathology come from? Because I'm not even trying to say that it's healthy. I'm not even trying to say that it is, you know, commendable. I'm not trying to say that, you know, there aren't questions to be asked, but I do have reservations about the people who are questioning and and their motivations. You know what I mean? Like, what do you get out of what of the idea of my accountability? And I'm using air quotes. Like, what do you need to see me accountable for? What does it do for you? And it's just, so I wanted to kind of explore all the different arguments that are given for, you know, how women are not accountable and why we deserve to be looked down their noses, you know, at us, and this expectation that, oh well, you're supposed to do better, but at the same time you're supposed to expect less. You know what I mean? It's like you're not supposed to strive for more because you deserve less, but you're also supposed to do better, even though you're supposed to stay in this this lesser position. You know what I mean? Nia X says, I wouldn't care what they think. No one is addressing my child. I mean, and I understand that too. But like I said, as a person, I'm looking at people from my exalted space, because I'm not getting off my pedestal for anyone at this point in my life. So from my space of being privileged enough to have grace, I can see how someone would be concerned about being taken advantage of. And that's not a problem for me. But no, you're not going to come in here in my sphere and in my child and work out your control issues and your feelings of impotency and lack of power within the world on my kid, because you think that I am desperate enough to want and need the validation of a man, or, you know, the validation of the appearance of a man's interest and quote unquote protection and provision. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that kind of party. I haven't gone hungry a day in my life, thank God. You know, so I haven't been desperate enough. And I don't say that from a position of superiority. I say that from a position of gratefulness. You know, I've never been in a position that some women are in or feel like they're in, where they feel like they have to put up with that type of thing, and they have to try to navigate those deeper, more shark infested waters. You know what I mean? But I'm someone that's just like, look, if you coming over here, that means you like something over here. And if you like something over here, then you need to come correct. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean just because you like something, but you see that I'm a single mother, that because you like it, I am obliged to give it to you at a lesser, I'm missing the word, but for less. You know what I mean? And when I say for less, it's unfortunate. Like, I wish I had known about this whole idea of a sexual marketplace value and these hierarchies that the men put on every single thing. You know what I mean? Because that's really what it boils down to, is this idea of a hierarchy. You know, that oh, I gotta share this. Hold on, I'm gonna add this on. This one gonna make y'all laugh. This idea that when everyone's super, no one will be. You know what I mean? And it's so funny how this is shown as like a villainous idea of, oh, well, if everybody's special, then nobody's special, and that's a bad thing. But if everybody's special, which everyone is, in my mind, everyone is special. Like I always say, my on my regular Instagram, my bio says the shit, period. But everybody is if they want to be. You know what I mean? Like, me feeling like I'm the shit doesn't have anything to do with whether or not someone else is. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like less of the shit if I'm with somebody else who feels the same way, you know? Like it really it's not baffling to me. I would say it's baffling, but it's not baffling to me. It's sad more so than anything that that people people feel that way, you know? So anyways, I kind of lost track of what I was saying. Oh, so I want to get into, since we've kind of transitioned into what we were talking about. I have clips from last night's, and Themis, if you're still here, hey, how you doing? I want to get into some of last night's live on Themis and Thoth. Now, mind you, like I said, I feel like if you have a lot to say, if you have deep thoughts, it is totally up to you to go ahead and and uh and start your own channel if you feel like you need to elaborate on some things. And so that is what I'm going to do here tonight, because I won't even say there was some stuff said, there was a lot of stuff said last night that was a little like, and I was just kind of like fuming, not fuming, but just like, really? Oh, as people were talking, because it was just very interesting to me, and it goes back into um talking about Summer Walker and like her position prior to the fall. You know what I mean? Of feeling superior, and feeling superior because she didn't have any children, number one, at the time, so she could rest in that knowledge of, oh well, I didn't do that, that was a dumb mistake that I haven't made. And so I'm smarter because I didn't let that happen to me, and I didn't navigate the situation that these women are navigating the situation. And that's why that's why they're mad at our relationship, because I am doing what they couldn't. You know what I mean? I'm better than they could ever be. And so, it is very interesting. And I'm watching and I'm sitting there on the panel and I'm listening, and I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, it is a scarcity mindset. I say that all the time. It's a scarcity mindset, of, oh well, there's not enough to go around, and I've got to get the biggest piece of the pie, or I've got to get, to the top of the mountain. But if there's no mountain, if the pie is big enough, or if there's enough pies for everyone to have their own pie, then how do I know that I am valuable? How do I know that I am special? How do I know that I have accomplished something? You know what I mean? Jenny Bean says, hey, Jenny Bean, I don't know if you were here earlier. She said, I mean, last night I learned to wait till marriage to have sex, and that wives cannot be a single parent. Apparently, it was a lot. B says, why trample others though? That's a great question. I don't know. But let me see here. Let me get to where we were. Oh, so we can start there. So I'm going to start here. Oh, let me share it first.
For society is what we lean into. And I think that we need to start taking responsibility that might not be your own. Like the whole point of thinking about a community is that you are responsible not just for yourself, but for people in the community. This is a family unit that you have now included yourself in as some sort of semi-step.
Oh, sorry, I should have. I'm sitting here. Mind you, most of you already know what's going on, already know what it was, but the discussion was about the whole McDonald's situation. So people were talking about how the mother was wrong, and she wasn't, it wasn't aspirational the way she went about it. But I gave all my thoughts in detail in last week's live, so go back and check that out if you want to know exactly how I feel about that.
Father to these children, even if you've broken up with the mother, in my mind, and I'm not saying I'm correct, I am saying I would look at you very differently, including stop being your friend. If a friend of mine did something like what he did, I think that
I'm
is
sorry.
inappropriate. I think it's extremely inappropriate what he did. Now, that is an opinion, and I could be wrong, and I'm fine. But I don't think your responsibility stops at what you're obligated to do. Go ahead, Cat Eye.
Hey, Thunder. Hey, everybody. I watched the video and I honestly thought that she was more wrong, and it was a lot to take away from it. But strategically, I saw that she knew that he came every single day to drop off McDonald's. So what she could have did was have explained the situation to him, for she could buy more food that could stretch like nicely. She could have been like an adult with him. You could tell by his demeanor he actually would have agreed to that type of thing, but she did not even give him a chance. She decided to I thought it was
I don't know why I keep feeling
how sloppily she did it. Yeah, exactly. It was fake. How sloppily she did it. Right. Yeah.
Hold on. That's not the meaty part. Let me get to the meaty part. Let me see. 250 about here is fine.
You feel me? No, but you can't use the fact that that they might not be moral to say, well, we can expect them to behave well. We can expect them to behave well, right? But we can judge them for not behaving well.
No, that's I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying that's something that we gotta think about. We not even bringing up adults in our culture. You feel me? So it's like how you gonna see what you see, you know? You gonna see this function.
I
You
really
gonna
hate
call it
that. I did follow Ron.
Shout out to Malik too last night. Like, he was representing. He was a gentleman and a champion for us. He had all the questions. He had all the answers. He was just not with the BS last night, and I appreciate it. You want to ask him?
Right, go ahead, Tippy. I didn't hear you.
I interrupted that, so you may not have heard it. So somebody, I can't really tell who it was saying, so you went through $600 worth of food stamps in a month. That's what they just said.
So this is Paris. I was going to say, could we ask also, how does a person go through $600 worth of food stamps or more? Because you get about 100 something, 200 per child. So you're out of money that quick, and then you're looking at, and on top of that, DiGiorno $6-7. You could have fed the whole household. Tuna fish in a can. Like, some of us grew up broke and we survived. Like, you get some bread, cheese, and sandwich meat in the house. You can eat. You make a pot of spaghetti. It's like I don't have any kids, but this is why low key, like, I'm not a Republican, but the one thing I do have out is this time she has how much money in food stamps, and then you tell me she still don't have no food for these kids. And now we're into this skit, which I know I have seen people manipulate food stamp enough to know it's like, okay, you can have these kids, but you know you can't take care of them, and they can't take care of them, and now everybody else is forced to basically pay child support for kids that you keep making, right?
No.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it right there for a second. So yeah, that's number one, and we talked about that. It was so funny to me how everything that these people were saying last night were things that I had spoke about to the letter last week. Oh, it's double audio. Okay, I will do that next time. Thank you so much, Expo Dad. Everything that they, first of all, I didn't expect that. Nobody expected to feel him, but I felt him. I felt him in my soul. Okay, like he was giving. But it was so funny to me how all of these things were the same, because I said like these are the reasons that they give, and it's always about the deficiency of the mother. It's always, oh, she failed, she did this, she did that, she's mismanaging funds, she's mismanaging her womb, she's doing this, she's doing that. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying that there's not room for improvement, because that is usually the way that they negate this idea of, oh, we're doing a little bit too much, we're putting 20 on a 10, you know what I mean, when it comes to the woman, or we're putting 100 on a 10 when it comes to the woman, and we're putting, you know, nothing on the man. And it's just like, you don't really understand where that idea comes from, or the fact that there's literally nothing that the woman can do short of hope and pray that she never makes a mistake in her life. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these women that are comfortable in that position of superiority or perceived superiority, because maybe they don't have kids. A lot of people are saying like, oh, well, they've had abortion, but it's stuff that nobody knows. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the fact that you don't do this stuff, or it's not the fact that you've never done this stuff, or it's not the fact that you probably wouldn't ever do this stuff. You just haven't been in a situation where the conditions were just so that you would. You get what I'm saying? You never know what's coming around that pipe. And so they love to just sit there and say, oh, well, you know, how is she mismanaging her funds? Now, I said in the live last week, mind you, this is a skit, but I've actually, you know, and this is someone, again, another childless woman, someone who's never walked the path, who doesn't know what it's actually like, who doesn't know what it's actually like to go to the welfare office as an 18-year-old, just wanting to be able to contribute something, because you don't have a work history, you don't really have anything else to offer, but you don't want to be a burden to the people that are helping you. And you go to the welfare office so that you can have enough money for your own diapers and your own toiletries and things like that, and have the woman that's supposed to be helping you fill out the thing. It's her job. She literally has a job getting paid and able to pay her bills and buy her own toiletries and stuff, shaming you outright to your face because you are sitting there signing up for welfare. You get what I'm saying? Like, it ain't a thing where, oh, you earned this. From the minute they see you coming, it's this assumption that, oh, well, you must have been doing this and that and the other, and you don't care about life, and you don't, you know what I mean? And just all of these assumptions that are made, but yet and still, when it comes to the man, where it's clear that we can tell, I mean, based off of the facts given in the skit anyway, supposedly, he already knew she had 3 kids. You know what I mean? And he already knew that he had. Being childless is not, I agree, being childless is not an excuse to display that level of hostility. I 100% agree with you. But he already knew she had kids, and he already knew that he had to cater to them kids and, you know, take care of them kids to a certain degree to get close enough to her, to get between her legs, to impregnate her. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's no room, but we could sit there and weave these elaborate webs of you know, lasciviousness when it comes to the women, and drape ourselves in them as these capes of these super women who never ever did anything wrong and never would, because, oh, we know so much better, and we would never be that stupid, and we would never be that naive, and you know, it's just like, oh, okay. All right. Hold on, let me mute me.
I agree with
Actually,
Paris.
I mean, okay, so I have to be careful here and say, having known nothing about food stamps, I don't know, and I will not judge how people use it, because I don't know anything about it. But what I will say is, we
In an
cannot,
attempt to talk about
in an attempt to
men.
talk
Alright, y'all said
about
you wanted
men.
to-
All right,
Hold on,
y'all said
Jenny
you wanted
Bean,
me
it's
to give
coming.
advice to
It's
men, so
coming.
here it is. Period. You cannot accept mediocrity, right? You cannot accept mediocre men and protect and try to escape accountability by saying, oh, it's not his obligation. If you believe, if you're sitting there and you're like, oh well, the man doesn't have to take care of the other children, then you are deciding to take mediocrity. I'm not saying it's your fault because no, men do what men want to do, whatever, right? It's not your fault. I'm not putting this on you. However, if you don't see a problem with this man, I don't. Maybe there is a vetting issue that we can talk about because I'm of the opinion that you can't vet men. You can't vet anyone. People change all of that. I'm of that opinion. But maybe, not maybe, there is some things you should look out for when there is clearly a red flag. This for me is definitely a red flag. If a man is not willing to help other people around him, that might not be a good person. Just as a general matter, right? Like as a general matter, this man in the skit, not the man himself, but in the skit, the character in the skit, is a horrible person in my opinion. And I would tell women to stay away from him. But that's just me. And that's your obligation. Absolutely not. You're not going to tell me that. So that's my opinion. We can move on. KP.
Hi,
We're coming back.
So I agree with you that he was supposed to bring all of the children something to eat. I agree with that.
I'm pausing it because I don't know why their pictures went away during the live, so it was hard for me to try to find like the specific things that people were saying. I'm trying to get to where Malik went in, okay? Like Malik went in. I'm trying to get to where he went in because when she said that thing about like the textiles, and there was another one later that said a similar thing like later on in the live. I wonder if no, that was Steph. I'm gonna go ahead to what is it? 3 hours.
Can I push back on that?
Period. Push.
So first of all, I'm hearing a lot of people saying like we're coddling the men. I don't coddle adults. I only coddle children. And I don't care if you are a male child. I don't care if you're a female child. And I'm only using the terminology male and female because that's based off of biology, and that's why I kind of want to go now. I'm not trying to discredit, the human aspect of us, but that's why I'm trying to stay on.
Wait, pause. I'm going to have you repeat that because I didn't quite hear because I was trying to read the foolishness.
Okay.
The women are just asking for the bare minimum, but yesterday concern asked me, other than protecting and financially providing for your wife, what else are you doing? Yeah.
She said wife. This
wait,
not,
wait. Orange Pill said, what more do you want from him?
the conversation is about a
Proposal?
dude, his mother, not a wife or husband.
I'm sorry, that part was funny, but and not to put anybody out there, but like, what can you tell me like in the chat? Just say like, what specifically did you disagree with? You know what I mean? In general, as far as the things that were listed as or spoken to as for what was going on, and again, I went over this from top to bottom last week. If you go in at exactly 20 minutes of last week's live, I laid it all out, my thoughts, my thought process, my values on it and everything like that. And for me, it's just really clear that there is more of a drive or more of a hunger, if you will, to humble the women and punish the women and berate the women and prove to the women, like put the women in their place, than it is to just make sure kids are okay. You know what I mean? Because there's one thing when you talk about giving constructive criticism, and I was saying this to somebody in Discord, I think it was last week. There's a difference between, loving honesty and malicious criticism. And when you are giving criticism about something that can't be changed, like if a woman has a child, if a woman has children, you're saying, oh, she shouldn't have any more children. Fair enough. But you're not just saying she shouldn't have any more children. You're saying, oh, well, she shouldn't have these children that are here and did it. But there's nothing that can be done about that. So really, what is the value of that criticism? What is she supposed to do about it? At this point, we're talking about, making sure the kid is fed and, oh, yeah, she shouldn't have brought him into the world. Okay, fair enough. But what can she do now? What can be done now? What we're talking about now? Because we can't go back in time. You know what I mean? We can't go back in time. So why is it that there's so much emphasis of focusing on something that cannot be changed in the moment? You get what I'm saying? Like, constructive criticism is something that you can put to use later on. But you berating someone or you judging someone about what their circumstances are right now is not constructive. Especially if children are hungry. Like, there's nothing constructive about it. And yes, first a person has to be in a position to offer constructive criticism. Absolutely. I didn't see your live. I think there's a difference between bringing 4 meals for 4 kids as a one-off and having ongoing financial responsibility for 3 kids that's not your own. But that's why I think it would. I won't say it would be. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, and you don't have to, and you're not beholden to me whatsoever. And thank you so much for being here. I don't want to make it seem like I'm, putting you out there or anything like that. But you may want to go, just to know where I'm coming from with it. You may want to go and look at what I said, because in a nutshell, I said to that idea about the taxes. I just feel like I'm gonna try to paraphrase as much as possible and just and condense it. I feel like it's an excuse. I feel like people are looking for excuses to feel superior. Long story short, you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that women that do this are okay. You know what I mean? Which is why I did something constructive, and I wrote a book, and I made a platform to try to help women that are in that position from where they are and hold their hand through transitioning out of it, hopefully, if that's what they want to do. But the position that I feel like people that are speaking like this young lady that in that clip is speaking, and most people are coming from, is this fixed position of, well, she did this and she did that, so she has no right to think this or feel that or anything like that, as opposed to, well, she did that and that wasn't the best thing. And well, why would someone do something like that? What are the reasons? And just taking that moment to kind of tap into their humanity and say, well, what's her background? What's she been through? Is she dealing with self-esteem issues? And a lot of times that'll be what they automatically go to. Oh, well, you need to get up, girl. You need to stand up. You need to start, do better for yourself. Why are you letting people do that? But if someone's already at a deficit, like, how is that going to help them? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not about constructive criticism. It's not about helping her or the children. It's really about feeling superior. It's really about feeling like you can say, oh, well, I'm better than that. Puff. You know what I mean? But at the same time, excusing the men, and you're like, well, where does that come from? And it's because, men are different than women and men. So as a woman, being in that competition and not even knowing, and that's what I'm talking about, those landmines. I call them landmines. Like I said, before getting pregnant with my daughter, rather, these dudes couldn't hold me down. You know what I mean? Like they say, one leave, another one's coming at 15. Like, that was my mindset. Wasn't none of these dudes keeping me sad for very long. You know what I mean? Like, they would do whatever they would do, and I would just be like, oh, okay, well, on to the next. It wasn't a major thing. It wasn't until I actually got pregnant, and now I'm in that space where I'm like, well, oh no, I don't want to be a baby mama because baby mamas are blah, 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 blah. Not even tapping into, well, what am I? Who am I? Am I those things? No, I'm not. Just being so scared of being labeled, just being so scared of being judged, just being so scared of being, branded, and then going out into the world. Like I said, now here I am. I got an infant baby and I'm coming back home to Philly. And I'm trying to do what I can at the state that I'm in. So being someone, a 18, 19-year-old with no work history, and nothing to my name and nothing to contribute to the household that I am coming into in my grandmother's household, saying, well, I can go ahead and get food stamps because that's all I know. Because there was food. I remember going to the store with stamps that people was getting from me. You get what I'm saying? So I'm doing the best that I know to do in the position that I'm in, but having people still sit and say, oh, well, you shouldn't have laid down. You should have kept your legs closed. What does that have to do with right now? What does that have to do with today? And how does that help me today is the question. How do these judgments help anybody today is the question. It doesn't help anybody but the person trying to feel superior. So, let me see. It says, is she allowed that type of behavior? Her kids could possibly hate each other growing up in the same home, but one only receives certain things. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, she's thinking about from the present. I have 4 kids. All 4 of them need to be okay, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Him bringing one meal can cause more trouble than it can do good for the family unit. And even if he doesn't consider himself a part of that family, it's still her job to manage that family and the well-being of the family overall. But she doesn't get to do that because that's a space of being in control. And that's a space of saying, hey, I deserve better. My kids deserve better. That's a space of saying no to people who feel like they're doing you a favor. Even though he came into a situation that already had 3 children and left a 4th. What's it say here? If I were in the position of this man and I'm a woman, I would want to take my child out of the household so that I can. Well, here's the question. Why wouldn't he? And why didn't he? And nobody's asking that question. It's very interesting that, that's not an invalid statement, but why wasn't that question asked? But we got all these questions about how she's spending the money and where the food stamps went. You get what I'm saying? It is not necessarily anything anybody is saying wrong. Just like it's technically not wrong that he would get his child and his child only. Technically, there's nothing wrong with that. He's doing his quote unquote duty. But it's just interesting the type of things that people are looking for and the type of things that people are seeking out. It's telling of people's intentions. It's telling of people's values. It's telling of people's thought processes. And it's clear to me that people are more apt to want to vilify a woman for being a single mother than to understand that it's really important for all the children in that scenario, thank you, to have what they need. That's where I'm, it's not about making her right or making him wrong or anything like that. Those things, those levels of right and wrong are what they are and what they're going to be. But the idea that it's more of a priority for people to feel superior in downing that woman than to be concerned about those children eating. It says a man can choose to not pursue a woman with kids. He just don't have to broadcast it everywhere. Like, do you, boo? I wouldn't date a homeless man, but I'm not broadcasting that to shame. No, yeah, like I don't go out into the street and see homeless people say, I would never date a homeless man. Like who's doing it? It says what we say about it has nothing to do. I'm looking at Deanne's comment. What we say about it has nothing to do with the logic of it. If a man doesn't want the responsibility, he needs not to deal with situations for which he has no intention of being responsible. And that's another thing I said in the live last week. My thing is, this man came into the situation with his eyes open. He knew she had 3 children. And mind you, I'm saying all this with the understanding that this is supposed to be a fake scenario, right? However, I'm looking at the facts that were given within the scenario. So she did a video after the initial video where she gave a little bit more context. And she says that in this scenario, this man came to her with her 3 children, knowing she had 3 children, and doing for all 3 of those children. To me, that says that he understood that this was a woman that was about her children. Because there are some women who really don't care what you do for their children. There are some women that as long as you're doing for them, as long as y'all having fun and living it up and drinking and smoking and you know, whatever else in, that you guys are good. And then they have a baby, and then they're okay with you just taking care of that one baby because they have that those optics of having a man and having a quote unquote nuclear family. And there are some women who do let men mistreat their other children and who mistreat them with them because they resent the fact that they're even there because they're messing up that perfect image. You get what I'm saying? But in this case scenario, it sounds like he understood that he was with a mother who was a mother, a real mother-minded mother who wanted to make sure her kids were good. And he had to do for them kids in order to get close enough to impregnate her. So then if he knows that that's how she is, why would he think that this would fly in the first place? Because she's supposed to make all these assumptions and she's supposed to be omniscient and know all these other things that she didn't know or didn't realize or whatever. But he's not supposed to realize that she's going to expect that he be respectful of all of her children. And again, and we go into the, oh, well, where does it end? And does he have to buy them clothes or something? No, he doesn't have to buy them clothes. But we're talking about eating. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about eating. We're talking about you don't set nothing and you can't have nothing. How many skits do we see on social media of people, grown people in their own houses, can't eat without the child popping up? You know what I mean? And that's not saying that the kid is hungry. That's just in general. Kids are looking at you. But if you're saying that there's no food in the house or there's very little food, on top of that idea, oh, McDonald's, woo, you know, it's going to be an issue. And yes, all adults involved should be concerned about that. Let me see here. Expose it. I agree, and it's so disheartening that these are the men that Black women are defending, all in the name of shaming other Black women in order to other themselves. Yeah, it really comes down to, and I talked about, because I talked about Summer Walker last week, and I talked about how, you know, she was in a position where she was the better woman, and then she became the bitter baby mother, according to the line of progression. It's like the life cycle. It's the life cycle of a Black woman, the inevitable life cycle of a Black woman in America. You're the better woman because you got everything that a man wants and likes. And then you're dealing with these men that have this pathology going on within them, and you're thinking everything's cool because you're in a position where they're going to show you, like that other dude did when he came and was giving the other kids stuff. They're going to show you, oh yeah, you're special, whatever, because they want whatever they want from you. Then you get comfortable thinking it's all good and everything's equal. Then you mess up and get pregnant, and now all of a sudden you seeing what the other women seen, and you're mad about it. You know what I mean? And then you start, God forbid, you start expressing that you're mad about it. And then you have to become the bitter baby mother that should have chosen better. But you weren't you? He was treating you right? You were everything you were supposed to be. He came to you. Y'all were interacting the way people were interact. But somehow, some way, there's always it's just, oh yeah, well, you didn't choose right. You didn't do this and you didn't do that and you didn't get married. It's divorced women going through the same stuff that women who never sniffed a ring are going through in this way. So what are we talking about? What are we really doing here? You know what I mean? And don't even get, let's go back. So I said Summer Walker, but let's go back to Jazzy Brown. So you're Jazzy Brown and you bending over backwards and oh yeah, this is why y'all ain't getting along with these men. You ain't doing it right. But like I said, she already knew what was up a couple months ago. But she decided to get, let's say she learned. Let's say she took that tough love, you know, and decided to correct her ways so she can get her man. And she's doing everything she's supposed to do, bending over forwards, rather, doing everything she needs to do to please this man. And then turn around, and then she has a baby, and then she's mad. And the same men and women that are sitting there saying, yep, that's how you're supposed to do it, is going to turn around on her and say, oh, you didn't choose right. But I thought she was doing what she was supposed to do. It's a trick bag, is what I'm saying. Like, I'm sitting back and I scored very well in cognition in school. consistently throughout my school. I can spot a pattern. Okay, this is fugazi. All right.
No. Orange Phil said to y'all, what more do y'all want from him? Providing and protecting is not the bare minimum. It's all he got. It's all he got. It's all. Period, Orange Phil. Let them know.
If you're
Absolutely
providing
not.
and protecting, they're not talking about you. So
Absol-
chances are you aren't providing and protecting.
Look, no. Orange Peel, no. Orange Peel, let these people know that you've given all you can give, and that's that on that. You're not about to improve anything else. Period.
I want to say something though, Themis.
Who? Go ahead.
I just want. She said, okay. Now you said let it go, but she said, his wife. Other than providing and protecting, what's he offering his wife? This conversation is about a whole dude and his kid's mom and other kids. She brought up wife, so I want to know: does she think a wife should be treated the same way as a kid's mother? I think so, for the most part. Most part, kid's mom the same way. Does she think that? Should she treat your wife kind of the same way you treat your kid's mom? I think so, kind of. Does she think?
Oh, this. Hold on. It won't unmute. Can y'all hear? Okay. It wouldn't unmute. I was sitting there clicking on the button forever. So this part was muy interesante to me because earlier the lady that's talking right now, she was saying how her child's father or her kid's father, I think she has multiple children with the same guy, treats her and how he treats her with respect, and they are actual friends, and like he treats her like family. You know what I mean? And I feel like in a perfect world, that is the way it should be with your child's father. Like you should be able to have a at the very least a rapport with your child's father where it's not always adversarial and it's not always some kind of conflict, and where you actually might even enjoy each other's company as friends, right? Like platonic friends. And so she's saying that she feels like the baby mom should be treated the same as the wife. I would not say I agree that they should be treated the same. And I do understand that there are women and there are scenarios, and I've seen it, where a baby mama feels like she should be treated the same or even better than the woman, especially if the new woman doesn't have any children with him. They actually feel like they should be treated better, and they do utilize that connection, or the child rather, to try to pull the man more so towards them. I have seen it. I understand that happens. I'm not going to sit around and pretend that is not the case. So for that reason, I do feel like there need to be clear boundaries and there needs to be an understanding. However, again, when it came to this situation, like I said, it wasn't for me. It's not about, she should have full access to his wallet. It's about doing things in a way where it's like, well, okay, just like you could say, well, technically he got his child what they needed. Technically, he could go ahead and do the same thing and still be, a stand-up guy and someone that they all can say is a wonderful person. And by they, I mean the children, by going to Little Caesars and getting a pizza. Using the same amount of money or less that he spent on a full meal at McDonald's and going to Little Caesars and getting a pizza. You know what I mean? Like it's not about wanting men to just spend on children. It's about wanting men to think about children as children and not as, liabilities. Like when you listen to these men talk just about dating and the potential of dating and women, the way they talk about women, we are merchandise. We are inanimate objects, and our kids are just liabilities, and everything is just, about how can I take advantage? Are you an asset? And this and that and the other. And it's just like, well, I understand that there is a business to all relationships. All relationships is a certain amount of work, and it takes collaboration, and it takes pooling of resources, and it takes creativity, time, energy expended. You know what I mean? But when you're coming at it from this type of viewpoint, it's no wonder that you're getting the same type of turnout as like people that go to dead-end jobs. You know what I mean? Like when you work in a dead-end job, when you know you working a job just to have a job, it's no wonder you're getting women who literally just want to be there because, oh, well, he's a provider. He's provide. I got a house. I got a roof over my head. He provide protection. Like that's all. If that's the frequency that you are on, that's the frequency you're going to attract. So then you wonder why you don't have women that are really just like, yo, man, no, I'm really about the team. You know what I mean? Like I'm really about our family and a legacy and this and that. You get what I'm saying? You getting people with a just a job to have some money in your pocket mentality. You know what I mean? You're going to get, it's not going to be of the same quality as someone that's like, I really truly see you and I value you beyond what you make, beyond, you know, what the world says about you, beyond, you're not connecting with people at a soul level. You get what I'm saying? You're not connecting with people at a soul level. And like I said, had I known this stuff at 18, 16, whatever, had I had this understanding, had I had this knowledge, had I had access to this kind of knowledge, I don't want this. Even now, I don't want that. I don't want some man that just is evaluating me as a piece of hardware. You know what I mean? I don't want some man that just feel like, oh, you should be happy. I'm even bothering to look at you. You got these daggone kids. Get the hell away from me. You know what I'm like? I don't need that. Who said unintentional? And what y'all talking about in my chat? Wait, what's going on? Hold on, I gotta go back. Oh, hold on, let me see. It says, for all we know, we could be hooking up with relatives and not know. High abandonment rates with no trace can lead to unintentional incest. It's serious. It is. And it's this idea, just like, and it's perfectly fine. And the women are co-signing with it. And you think you're better than the next chick because she let him in her vagina. But you just as bad or worse because you're saying, oh, well, yeah, and whatever he does afterward is perfectly okay. So you're not helping either. You're not helping either. They have absolutely no, they getting the sex. And then the women that they didn't get the sex from, that they will potentially decide they want to get sex from because you're unsullied, are saying, oh, yeah, it's perfectly fine that you did. I see no problem with what you did. But then the ironic part is, they were saying that actually, no, they would be judging him. They wouldn't want him in their bed. They wouldn't want to. So it's like, what are we doing? This idea that you can't bond with kids that have no biological relationship is low vibration. It is very low vibrational. And the thing is, it's a lie. Like you can and you do, but they don't want to. Dia says, it dawns on me thinking about this. These men do not know how to be a force for good in the world. All they know is consuming and being consumed. Point blank. Period. All they know is no matter who they face, including their own. Exactly. Like and you've never said. Well, you've said a lot of true words. You all your words be true, but like for real, this idea it spills down into the children. This idea that I have to be able to dominate, not just I have to be close to my children, and I have to have contact with my children, and I have to be able to bond with my children, and I have to be able to talk to my children, and I have to be able, to connect with my children. I have to be able to dominate my child. I have to be the one that's able to put my foot on their neck and put my thumb on their forehead, and like it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely insane. It said that girl even othered her brother. She was like, her brother was raised right and would have been chastised, but dude in the skit wasn't raised right. That's what but it's this idea, like you can hear it all in the voice, even the baby voice and all that. Oh, I am a feminine woman who came, this idea of I came from a certain type of household. My father was in my life. All of these things are always used to differentiate and say, oh, that's why you deserve, like, you didn't have a father in your house. You didn't have this. You didn't have that. You're not this. You're not that. You're not that. You weren't raised to be a wife. You weren't. No, I guess I wasn't conditioned. I wasn't conditioned in that way to think that this was normal. You're absolutely right. And mind you, I'm speaking as someone who did come from a 2-parent household. And I didn't even, you know what I mean? That's how little, because those type of things weren't pushed. Those types of we were surviving. You know what I'm like? We was loving on each other, and we were surviving, and we were living. It wasn't that type of dynamic or that understand. I never had understanding of those things, because all I felt from my people was love. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't this drama, women are this and men are that, blah 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 blah. It wasn't all of that. It was just. And furthermore, if I'm being quite honest, all I ever heard the adults talking about was the kids. Have the kids eating, have the kid, and not just, you know, in their household and stuff. My nieces, I mean, not my nieces, my cousins, you know, and when my mom left and she went off and had other kids, my sibling, it was always about making sure the kids had, making sure the kids had food, making sure the kids had somewhere to be. You know, everything was about the children. I didn't see the women in the live as excusing the men's behavior. Maybe I'm wrong. I think they were just saying women can control their own outcomes. It's not saying that is an untrue statement in and of itself. It is the broader context of the conversation and the ways that, if you look at the ways that the woman is being analyzed, but the men are not. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, they get to do it too. What I'm saying is, again, it goes back to you're analyzing things about the woman that can't be changed. You can't change the fact at this point that she has 4 children by however many fathers. Nothing can be changed about that. So why are you harping on that as if that is a character flaw for her? Meanwhile, ignoring the fact that despite the fact that she has 4 children by however many different fathers, and she has this one father to this child, and if she was a different type of woman, she could be sucking up to that man to get attention. You know, if she was actually the type of person that she's trying to be painted out to be, a narcissist, wouldn't she be kind of sucking up to that man to get his attention, to make him feel special, to keep him around and try to bleed him dry? Wouldn't it be okay in her mind to go ahead and downplay these other kids, or even play the long game and try to appease him to eventually get, like, I just see it a little bit differently. I'm not saying women can't control their outcomes, but I'm just saying, like, nobody can go back in time. Nobody has a time machine. I tell you, I always got a story. When I had my oldest daughter 2 weeks before my 19th birthday. And so my daughter had to be 4 or 5 years old. I don't know. And I was at my grandmom's house and nobody was there. And my grandfather hadn't passed away at that point. And I'm talking about my oldest daughter. She's going to be 18 this year. But she was about 4 or 5 years old. And my grandfather's brother calls. And my grandfather is the oldest of 5 children. So his I guess you could say he's the second. He's the second oldest child. So he calls, and I answer the phone, the house phone, and he was like, "Oh yeah, where's my brother?" And I said, "Oh, he's not here. He hasn't come back yet. I think he was on dialysis, so he was out of dialysis or whatever. He wasn't home yet." And we were just chit-chatting. He's like, "Oh, how you doing?" I said, "I'm okay." And he asked how my daughter was. I said, "I was fine. She was fine, blah, 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 blah." He said, "How old is she now?" And I said, however old she was. And he's like, "Oh, yeah. You know, that could have been a degree. You could have had a degree by then." And it's funny to me because that was back before I was so outspoken, but that was in the beginning of like my phase of kind of going through actual life lessons. Anybody that watched the 5 Heartbeats, when the guy said like, you have to suffer a little before you. So I had already started kind of suffering. And I just remember something in me snapped and I said, "Now, what was the point of you asking that? What is your point?" And mind you, I want to say he was in his 40s at the time or something like that. And I'm a 20-something, early 20-something year old woman. And I'm just like, what was the point of you asking that? What are you trying to do? I don't know. I'm just saying you could. I said, yeah, but what does that do for me right now? How is that supposed to make me, you know what I mean? Because ultimately I could still get a degree. And it's just that idea that people can say whatever to you and try to put you in this, like, that wasn't an inspirational thing. Was it true? Yes. Was it necessary? No. Was it kind? No. Now, if he was concerned about me getting a degree or something, he could have said, oh, well, are you planning on going back to school? You know it's not too late. You get what I'm saying? It's just about a shift in conversation. It's about a shift of priorities. You get what it's not about not talking about these things, but don't expect me to play the fool. I know when someone's insulting me. I know when someone is coming at me a certain way. You get what I'm saying? And just because I have one child or more child or one baby father or more baby father or whatever reason it is that people tend to think that they have the right to diminish people, you don't. And I'm not saying you specific, but I'm just saying anybody in general that needs to hear this. You don't. Nobody is in control of anybody else's dignity. And if you choose to put yourself in a position to where they have to show you their dignity, don't get mad. That was just like we told you, they fault for that. That's your fault for overstepping your bounds. It is possible to overstep your bounds with people who have children. It is possible to overstep your bounds. But people don't seem to believe that. That's what I'm saying. It says it's the dismissive attitude and self-righteousness towards single mothers. That's the issues. Yeah. Stop blaming women. Oh, you know what? I'm going to, because I know I could talk about it forever and ever, forever. But yeah, I feel it. To me, it just feels like it's an air of superiority, and no bueno.
You think that?
No.
No, this is why I don't date men with kids generally, because I do want a man that would have that integrity to do for his baby mom, do for his ex-wife, do for other children outside of him. I want that in him. I just don't want to be second fiddle to other women in your life. So if you are, because in the end of the day, you're always her man to a certain extent. And I love that. I love the integrity behind it and everything. But it's hard for me to give myself fully when I don't have that baggage, knowing that I can never fully get the same in return.
What more do you want from me? What?
Oh, no.
I want to try to.
What more do you?
I want to try to find because I.
What more do you want from me?
I'm gonna try to find when it was really like going in.
Back to us, baby, and
oh, there.
And then also hit on some of the points I just kind of brought up. Number one, I don't think a baby mama has the same weight as a wife. I would expect if I got married to someone, if they were married before, that they would have, like, if they were married before, the ex-wife would have right to alimony, obviously, to him. I don't feel like a baby mother should have access to what would be my man now. His kids should always have access, and that's completely different than just like being on the beck and call of the baby mom. But back to pushing back about coddling men. I don't coddle adults. And at the end of the day, adults have the ability to make choices and decisions, and they need to live with that. I don't care if they're male, and I don't care if they're female. They need to live with their decisions. So at the end of the day,
I actually have a question for you now.
Yes.
So if you're dating,
so is not raising children, and again, like I said before, advocating for all of your children, even when it makes you unpopular, even when it's hard, it's difficult, even though you're going to keep getting the blame and everything, is that not living with the consequences of your actions? Again, I just feel like this idea that, your consequences are whatever I say they are because I'm observing you and I feel this type of way about what you did or what you appear to have done or what I assume you did, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of assumptions and liberties being taken, and the expectation is that the single mother is the one that brought it on themselves and deserves it all. And like I said, yes, I brought a child on myself and everything that comes with raising a child in terms of having to care for them and provide for them and all of that. But I did not buy your judgments in arrogance. You know what I mean? I didn't buy your vitriol, your spite, your scorn. Who are you? You know what I mean? Like, who are you? Who are you to me? Who are you in this situation?
A guy and he did exactly what that guy did, right? Let's say he is going over to his ex. You would think, oh, it's fine if he's just gonna bring his child food when you know that there's other children over that the ex has other children. You would, because you said don't want other women to feel entitled to your man's money. Fair enough. So like you would just be like, my man can't be giving other kids food.
Number one, I don't have children, so I would never date a man who has children. Answering your question, if I had a man who had children
doing
and
that,
he was in that scenario,
that person kept doing that, decided, well, I would never do it in the first place. We're talking about the hypothetical. So what you're doing is you're still trying to implant in the mind, I am superior. I am superior to this scenario anyway. So don't answer the question. You get what I'm saying? If you would never do it, then you can't even, what you're saying is I can't even put myself in the position of what I would actually do because I would never do. Well, good on you, sis. Good. That's fine. There's nothing wrong. I don't begrudge you that. I hope and I pray. I wouldn't wish stuff that I've been through, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. You know what I mean? So it's not a thing where I'm like, I want to see it happen to you. I don't. But why are you, you don't even go here. You don't even go here. Why are you here? And then you invent these reasons why this pertains to you when it doesn't. So you're saying, oh, well, taxes. I said in the last time, ain't no way in hell that this U.S. government is going to have you paying any less taxes. Now, they may take Social Security and welfare and child care and everything off of the docket, but you best believe they're going to keep increasing these taxes, sis. That's a lie. You're telling yourself and yourself only that it is single mothers are the reason that you have to pay taxes and this and that. You're going to do it regardless. But it's a convenient excuse and it's a convenient reason to other single mothers. It's just, and that's just, that's not even the meat and potatoes. That's just part of the garnish. You get what I'm saying? The meat and potatoes is you get to feel superior. You get to feel superior. And Christina said, even men lie about kids. They did it. They lie about all types of stuff. And that's what I'm saying. And when you feed into this idea that, well, no matter what the man does, the woman is the one that's the worst, then there's no floor. You get what I like? The floor disappears. They're like, I'm going to do whatever. It's open season. You know why? Because nobody cares what I'm doing. It's always going to be on the woman. And mind you, again, I'm not saying that there's no room for, because then that's the argument people make. Oh, women can't do no wrong. It's not about women not doing any wrong. It's about stuff that you're categorizing as wrong towards you or other people is none of your goddamn business. You see a single mother, you listen to them. They see a single mother, don't know this woman, but they're attracted to this woman and they want to have sex with this woman. So in their mind, they invent all these scenarios of what she probably did to the last man or probably did to all the other men, and this and that and the other. So that's why I should be able to come and use her body and discard her. You don't know her. The women see this woman with these kids or whatever, and can make all these assumptions and say, oh, well, she's just this and she's just that. I'm superior to her. That's why I deserve a high value man and she doesn't. It's ridiculous. I'm in Mexico for the summer, and I've met men that has kids in other countries out here. They all the same child. See, not the Mexicano. It says they want us to change them. You talk about the men. She said, I wish you call her ass out on the panel. She needs to hear this. I can't. I was telling somebody else because when I stepped down, I in the background I said, I told everybody bye and thank you. But when I stepped down, they thought that I might have been upset. I said, I'm not upset, but I can't be, people like to talk, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying like people get on the panel and and it's always like a vying for attention type thing, and I don't. Even before I started this channel, I don't feel like trying to jump in. Like I don't have that kind of spirit, and that's not me. I'm not trying to be. So I'm just saying like I don't feel like volleying for talking time. So and again, I was saying in the chat though, I spoke on every single thing that they said. I had already spoke on it on my platform the week before. So I just kept saying, well, I spoke on all this last week in my, and anybody who happened to drift over here might have came and seen it or not. It says these women are dangerous to themselves and other women because they really think it can't be them. Yeah, and I'm saying this as like when I was in my late teens or whatever, but prior to, I say between the ages of like 16 and 18, I swore it wasn't going to be me. I was college bound. I was, the cream of the crop, hunty. And said, and people that tell that lie are duped once by Ronald Reagan, twice not knowing the government, and 3 times not knowing the tax code or anything but earned income. Yeah, it's just it's a false flag. And then that's that whole idea, like they say about race. They play up all this race stuff when it's really the poor against the rich. Deanne, you would have went in because she was talking about the income and everything, and I forget she was saying it was the median income or whatever. Like she was just saying, oh, people got money, and it was something. Where am I at? He said, no, you can't change her mind. It's clear she has to learn. Yeah, you can tell. Like she sway. She knows it all. I gotta find it one day because I say that often. She knows it all. It says school is in session. People don't want to learn this stuff, unfortunately. People need to understand that life happens. Absolutely true, Misty. But they do deserve exactly their analogs in pride. Proud black women with no foundation will end up with their counterparts. They sure will. Them high value men sitting there with, crying in the shower and whatnot with a sore butt. That's exactly what you get. That's what you got waiting. High value.
Scenario, I would be going with him with some baked food that I have made for her family. Like, here's some food. We're not buying any McDonald's. I'm all up in your business. I want to see how you live, because if we decide to have children down the road, I want to see how you parenting your kids, because that will affect
period. No. That was you caught up quick, because that's actually what's gonna be what I'm gonna do it. But I'm going to ask you this now then, since we changed it. If the child is saying, oh, I want my child likes McDonald's and I'm gonna get my child McDonald's. And so I'm gonna buy him McDonald's, but he has 3 siblings, they're there. Would you stop your husband from getting all the children McDonald's? And would you be taken aback if it's like, I'm only going to buy McDonald's for my child?
I would. I would think that's strange.
You would what? Stop? You would stop? You would stop him?
I would stop him from getting McDonald's once because it's unhealthy too. I'd be like, my bad, Boston.
Right. Stop him from getting food.
It's not right. It's not right. It's not what she's saying herself. Yeah, that's not my style. I'd be side eyeing him too. So what is the problem? The problem is, oh, how dare this woman say, you can't do that to my children. Because she's not supposed to say that. She's supposed to have her head bowed and her hands up above her head, ready for whatever sprinkles of pennies or crumbs of bread, crusts of bread that anyone's willing to bestow upon them. You know?
Would you look at him differently if he said, I'm only going to get food for my child?
If it was the man I was with, yeah, I would look at him differently.
All right. So he's not a good man. And then the man who would do that, in your opinion, also is not a man you would want to be with.
Exactly. That's true. Yes.
All right. So let's stop pretending that this man is doing anything good.
I'm not saying he's doing anything good. I'm just saying he was not obligated to do anything. So I think operates and should operate on our same moral compass. And I don't necessarily think people should have to. I don't
think they should have to, but I think we should raise the bar. And so I'm not willing to lower my expectation.
That's interesting too that she just said that. She's like, oh, we think everybody should operate on our same moral compass. But you are literally looking down your nose at the women, like I said, for things that there's nothing they can do about at this point. Like, and wouldn't let up on it. And I'm not, and mind you, am I sitting and saying that, like, oh, she should just be like, oh yeah, everything that the women do is fine. And, you know, and like I said, the presentation of the way that the woman said it wasn't the greatest. However, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be nice. If I'm looking at you and I feel like you are demeaning my children and expecting me to demean them, I'm going to ask you what the hell is wrong with you. And why did you even think that was going to fly? I'm going to get offended. I don't see how you don't get offended with someone saying your children, any of your children, one of your children, a fraction of one of your children is lesser. Jenny B says, I'm not obligated to hold the door for the person behind me. Yeah, but I do it. Why? Because it really don't hurt me none. And it wouldn't. And the thing is, people talk, oh, what about the man? It wouldn't have hurt him to turn left instead of turning right and spend the same amount of money or less to get a pizza from Little Caesars. Wouldn't have killed him in the least bit. The kids have something to eat. Everybody's happy. And everybody thinks he's a good guy. I don't see the problem. Now, if she's saying, oh, yeah, you should have bought me a month's worth of groceries and you should have got us all our own little Olive Garden specials and whatever. You know, if it was something, all I heard her say was that, why are you bringing one meal when there are 4 children? Why aren't you bringing enough for 4, something? She didn't even specify what it had to be. But why are you bringing something that is clearly for one child and nothing for the others? That's all I heard. And she's not wrong for being upset about that and wondering.
Deal with those people.
Yeah, true. But I'm not willing to, even if we're saying we are not going to deal with those people, because, we're not. But I'm not willing to lower the bar, because I don't think it's just a difference of opinion. I think it's actually lowering the bar. I'm not willing to lower the bar. No, you're going to have to climb up and meet it.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see where you're coming from.
Stevens, can I push back a little bit on the ghetto comment that Malik made about us talking about the ghetto and how he said that most of our people are in the ghetto and we shouldn't be talking about that? Can you clarify?
So this part,
like, should we not be talking about the ghetto since most of our people are there? Should we just leave?
So I think I'm going to kind of leave it there. There was another lady. It was this lady over here. I think that's where she was at this point. But because their pictures are, because I think the one that was talking with the soft voice, she was down here, and then the other lady was there, but I can't see her picture. And I wanted to see when she was talking, but I can't tell who it was because she was, when she was talking, because she went back to the whole, oh, well, where was the food stamps and my tax dollars and this and that and the other. But, you know, I already said what my thoughts were about that. No, she didn't call Malik ghetto, but she was saying something about people acting ghetto, and I guess the fact that the way she was handling it was ghetto, and the situation was ghetto or something like that. And Malik was saying, like, it's not fair for you, you're being elitist. Basically, most of our people are living in the ghetto or live in the ghetto type of lifestyle. Like, not a lot of black people, the majority of black people aren't necessarily what you would call upper crust. So he didn't feel like it was fair for her to try to make that distinction. I don't know. I'll be honest, because some of that stuff I kind of checked out on. I remember hearing something about 22K, and then I remember seeing in the comments that people were like coming at her, and you know what I mean. So I could be wrong about specifically what she said in terms of that. But I don't think she didn't really know what she was talking about in that particular sense of the conversation. It said, did Malik speak up because someone mentioned women in the ghetto need to close their legs? Yes, in general, I think so. That aspect of it, I felt like, because mind you, like I said, I was kind of in and out in terms of paying attention. I couldn't quite always follow what Malik was saying, if I'm being honest. You know, some things he said were very clear, but other things I wasn't quite sure. But what I got from it was that he was just saying, like, this idea of attributing these behaviors to ghetto mentality or the ghetto. And it's not just ghetto people going through it, though. It is women who technically have enough money, you know, are doing well, but they're dealing with who they can deal with, and they're going through similar things. So this idea, and then I think someone made the point of bringing up, Petty did, bringing up those guys, like that nurse guy that had unalived his ex-wife and unalived his pregnant girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever at the time, and he wasn't ghetto. You know what I mean? Like, this idea that it's only the dregs of society that are doing these things and creating these single parent homes and living this drama. That's not true. You know what I mean? And basically putting things that aren't just happening in the ghetto. Yes, it happens in the ghetto, but it's happening elsewhere as well. But putting it all on the quote unquote Pookies and Ray. So basically doing like not a reverse Pookie and Ray Ray situation, but like Pookie and Ray Raying both the men and the women. That's what I got from it. It says Chloe is about to be a baby mom again, so wealth or race have no bearing. What Chloe? Kardashian? That's on her. I don't even know. The 22K is coming from the Brookings Institute's Pew Research, but this is actually misinformation. No economist would say 22K is middle class. Listen. Yeah. She did do that because she went and she was like, oh yes, because I went to the Brookings Institute. Like, she was saying it like, yes, I have bested you. I have the receipts. And I remember that part of the lie. I do remember that. Oh, Jesus. She said the 22K is coming from the, and when I say misinformation, I mean it's a misinterpretation of the parameters set by the studies that are being cited. Listen. Said no one can ever say we don't drag women because those women got dragged. Yeah, they did. I mean, but it is what it is. But yeah, so I'm gonna close on out. We've been on for about 2 hours. I'm ready to wind down. I have phone calls to make, but basically, period. You know, like it's very clear that there is the I'm tired of saying patriarchy. This idea of a hierarchy, this idea of let me go back to this idea that if everyone's super, no one will be, is really what's keeping us all down. You know what I mean? Like this idea that it's not okay for those that we feel like we are superior to not view themselves through the same lens that we view them through. You know what I mean? It's not okay for those that we feel like we should be comfortably above to be looking at us eye to eye. You know what I mean? And like, what's your problem? You know? It's and I think it's clear, and what made me feel good, I did leave from the live last night and understanding that it's definitely a new day in the community. We're not having it. It's clear that we as women, black single mothers are just like, you got us effed up. You know, like you don't get to do that to us. You don't get to do that to our children. We define our value. We set the marketplace value. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about a sexual marketplace value. I am the bank. If you looking at me, you want something over here, I set the price. You know what I mean? And that's is no kind of question, is no debate, is no haggling. You know, it is what it is. And that extends to my children. And so anybody that sits and says, oh, they don't want to deal with a single mother and they're concerned about, you know, not being respected within that relationship and being used and abused, I totally get that. I support you in your pursuit of childless love. But don't think you're going to come over here with the BS, because you're going to have a rude awakening and you might leave a little upset. You know what I mean? And for the women who feel themselves superior, good on you. You know, I hope and I pray that you're never proven wrong. You get what I'm saying? Like I hope and I pray that everything works out the way that you're planning it, because you've got all the answers and you know all the moves, and good for you. So with that being said, I am going to wish you all a good evening. I very much so appreciate you showing up and hanging out with me. Yeah, I definitely, but go back if you choose to, if you want to. Like I said, that was last week's live where it had Summer Walker on the, I said, I'm over it. I said, I'm all the way over it or something like that. And I said, I'm tired. That was the actual title. So go ahead, take a look at that. I explain all of my thoughts in detail. I tie all those things together. Summer Walker, the McDonald's situation, and the Jazzy Brown situation. I explain how they're all related and how it's, like I said, a life cycle of the bitter baby mom in the Black community. Also, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Yes, I'm going to give y'all some links here in the chat, in the chitnet. This is my link tree thingy here, and what else was it? Oh, and this is my website. So I finally set up my website. So if you want to learn more about Level Up Single Mom and kind of get an idea of what it is we are actually doing here, what I'm trying to do here anyway, go ahead and do that. And then you can always reach me at quianna at Level Up Single Mom. Hold on. .com. What the heck did I spell? I'm sorry. You can't see me, but I'm doing this from like a weird position. All right. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. But yeah, thank you so much Thank you, Antipodes. It's my pleasure, and you guys make it so great. I love coming and hanging out with you and having these conversations. I hope one day you guys feel better to come up and actually talk with me, because I like that give and take. I like that banter. So, but we're growing, we'll get more. But then again, I don't know, because some people just don't know how to let it go, child. I don't know. But thank you so much for coming, and we'll be back here next week, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Woman Chat Wednesday. If you have any things you want me to talk about too, you can either hit me up in the Discord if you're in the Discord, or you can email me at quianna@levelupsinglemom.com. So thanks, guys. You have a great rest of your day, your night.